Recording in progress. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to School of Speech, presented by SpeechTherapyPD. I'm your host, Carolyn Dolby, and as always, I am so glad you are here. Today's conversation is one I suspect will resonate with a lot of school-based SLPs because let's be honest for a minute. Many of us enter this profession because we generally love working in the schools. We love the students, we love the relationships, the collaboration, and the opportunity to make a difference every single day. So this episode is not about leaving any of that behind. In fact, one of the reasons I'm so excited to invite our guests today onto the podcast is because I think many school-based SLPs aren't looking for an exit strategy. They're looking for more possibilities. Maybe it's a way to supplement your income during the summer. Maybe it's a professional challenge that maybe will have you use different set of muscles. It's about looking at all the possibilities our degree might provide us that we have no idea about. So today's conversation isn't about replacing your school-based career. It's about expanding what the possibilities might be along with it. Because the reality is school-based SLPs have incredible value. Communication expertise, and those skills often transfer far beyond the therapy room, right? So our guest today is Adrienne Singletary. She is a corporate speech language pathologist, entrepreneur, mentor, and founder of Transcendent Accents. And through her work, she helps professionals, executives, physicians, athletes, and corporate teams strengthen their communication skills. Not only that, give them executive presence, public speaking, and confidence in high-stake environments. I am loving all of this. She is also the creator of the SLP Dropout Recipe, a mentorship program designed to help speech language pathologists explore opportunities beyond traditional clinical settings and discover new ways to leverage their expertise, right? Hello, Adrienne, how are you?
Hello, Carolyn. Thank you for having me, and I am doing well. You sound like you're doing well.
I am having a great day. A great
Good.
day. It's just a good time to be a speech path. I love it,
It
and I
is.
love School of Speech. And so we are so happy to have you. We've got a great listening audience today. So before we jump in, I'm going to do a little bit of housekeeping. Just a reminder to everyone, every episode of School of Speech is offered for zero point 0.1 ASHA CEUs on your Speech Therapy PD account. If you're joining us live, and we have a large live audience today, whoop, whoop. Thank you so much for being here, everyone. If your state requires your live CEUs, please be sure to pop back onto your speech therapy account before the end of today and complete all the course modules, including the one that says complete course, just to make sure that you receive all the credit for today. Also, live audience, I will be moderating the chat. I love interacting with you, and I know all my guests do too, but I have a little question, my gentle listeners. How many have you looked at your paycheck, looked at your caseload, and thought, man, there's got to be another way to use this degree? And if that's you, jump in the chat, put your hand up, say, yep, that's me. And also, if you have a side gig going, add that to the chat and let us know what you're doing. And while you're jumping in the chat, Adrienne, you check the chat. I'm going to do our disclosures right quick. All right. Adrienne Singletary is the founder of Transcendent Accents and the SLP Dropout Recipe. And she does receive income from mentorship, workshops, consulting services, and speaking engagements. Adrienne is also, for non-financial, is a corporate SLP and mentor who advocates for career expansion opportunities for SLPs beyond traditional clinical settings. For me, Carolyn Dolby, I am a salaried employee at Portland Public Schools, and I receive compensation from Speech Therapy PD for hosting School of Speech, which I love so much. Yeah, everyone say, yep, yep, yep. I love this. Thank you so much, everyone, for jumping in. And I love seeing some familiar names. I love my listening audience. Okay. Adrienne, before we dive into all the deep meat, I know that my listeners love to hear how you got to where you are. But let's be honest, I don't think I went into graduate school thinking, you know what, one day I'm going to be working for a Fortune 500 company. Nick, no,
Never thought that in grad school.
right? So could you just like do a little rewind, take us back, and tell us a little bit about your SLP journey? How did you
Yes.
get started? And just go, tell us it all.
Go
Tell
for
us
it. Okay. So when I finished grad school in 2006, I'm aging myself. I'm telling if you're figuring out my
it
age. I'm a woman of a certain age. And, I worked in the school system, moved from Washington, D.C. to Charlotte, North Carolina, worked in the school system, worked with pre-K students, elementary, middle school students also. I was also doing compliance facilitator work as well as a SLP and, of course, case managing. SLPs in schools, we case manage as well. We're
Mhm.
special. We case manage as well. And I was burnt out. I was burnt out at one point in my career, and corporate speech therapy kind of fell into my lap, believe it or not, listeners. So I had a parent of a student I'd been working with, and this mom just loved how I was working with her son. She loved to hear his progress. He was working on articulation skills, and she just kept saying every year for like 2 years straight, I just love this progress that you're making with him. I wish someone could help me. And I honestly told her, get on Google, find a speech therapist that works with adults. And the following year, when I saw her at her son's IEP meeting to actually exit him, she said, well, I looked for someone last year online and could not find anyone. What I saw online was individuals who needed assistance with maybe a stroke or a motorcycle accident, which in my mind means traumatic brain injury.
Sure.
So I
Yeah.
said, oh, you're probably Googling wrong. I'll Google for you.
Mhm.
And I could not find anything in Charlotte or even in the state of North Carolina where there was an SLP just helping adults with their communication skills. So I reached out to her and offered my services to her, just working on some things she wanted to work on. And she was looking to, have another job. So she needed to interview. The type of job that she wanted required her to have great interview skills. So I said, well, I'll meet you at the local library just a couple of times and we'll see how it goes. And she loved every session with me. And
Ugh.
it sparked something in me, like ignited something like, wow, she is, this is, I'm providing my skill set, but I didn't have to diagnose, I didn't have to treat. And it was just an amazing time with her. And we worked together for about 5 or 6 weeks, maybe. And I mean, when I tell you I was excited to work with her, she was excited to work with me. She was talking about practicing at home and using all the little, tips and tricks that I was showing
Yeah.
her. And she just loved it, and I loved it. So she ended up, when we finished our time, she applied for the position, had an interview. We did a little quick phone call to talk about, answering questions. SLPs, we know all about WH questions, right?
Ad
And
nauseum.
all about WH questions. We write goals for them sometimes. And she got her job and she was so appreciative. And I was thinking, how can I do this? And so I remember in graduate school, a professor talking about corporate speech therapy and how corporate speech therapists work with companies and organizations, but I didn't know anything else about it. So in just that experience, it led me to become a corporate speech therapist and has opened so many doors and opportunities I didn't even know about. Like, as you said, Carolyn, in my bio, like I've worked with Fortune 500 companies, CEOs, athletes, reality TV stars. I mean, I got a chance to work with and meet Michelle Williams from Destiny's Child because someone was interviewing her and needed my expertise to help them prepare for an interview with an icon. It is, corporate speech therapy has opened so many doors and has allowed me to use my skills in a totally different way.
Is there, so I'm hearing kind of the first time for me, well, I'm not really because I've met you, but but let me do it this way. I think maybe some of our listeners haven't heard the term, it might be the first time they're hearing the term corporate SLP.
Mhm.
We know because in this, we're either a school-based SLP, we're a medical SLP, we're a private practice SLP. What exactly, what's the definition of a corporate SLP?
So a corporate SLP is a speech pathologist, still speech pathologist, and
Okay.
you are providing your expertise in a different way, meaning that these are elective services that you're providing. So you're not taking insurance, everything is private pay, and you are assisting adults with their communication skills in their day-to-day lives. They don't have a diagnosis, they're not being referred by a physician, but you're still using the same evidence-based skills that you already use in a medical setting or a school-based setting, and you're providing this information for individuals that work in boardrooms, if they're in interviews, presentations, leadership roles, workplace interactions. You are doing all of that. And you are
Wow.
still a speech pathologist, but you are working more in the corporate sector. So you may work with companies, brands, community organizations. You may work with influencers. I've had a couple of social media influencers that I've worked with also. But we know how important communication skills are, but you're still using your expertise just in a different format in a different way.
So would an SLP that we're like, okay, first of all, I have so many more questions because I'm so excited to learn from you. Um, one question I did have is like, before we get started, is this something we need to go back to school for? Do we need a certain
No,
certificate?
no, no, no. You do not need to
No?
go back for a certification. You don't need
Whoop,
to go back
whoop!
for another degree. You use the skills and the
Okay.
knowledge that you already have. That is the
Okay.
best part. You do not have to worry about the billing component, the plans of care. You are not doing what you're thinking about in a traditional setting. In fact, even when I'm working with my clients, even though I'm using the knowledge that I already have, I don't use the same verbiage that you would use in a traditional setting. So when it comes to working with someone who has difficulty with their articulation skills, I would say enunciation skills. Someone that has difficulty with stuttering, I would say fluency skills. Even though we use that word, most individuals, believe it or not, if they're adults that you're working with, they don't like the term stuttering.
Right.
Every client that I've worked with that has difficulty with disfluency or fluency skills, they don't like that term. Every single one of them. So you have to think about your skill set and the verbiage that you're using in a totally different way, but you're still providing your knowledge. So no, you do not have to go back to school to do this. You have all the skills. Trust me, you have all of them.
Wow. So, like, when you were first getting started, I'm just, oh my gosh, so many. My mind is like, wow. Like, what were those first, maybe like your first opportunity? Oh, well, you did tell us your first opportunity with the mom, which
Mhm.
I think is a lovely, like, you had no idea. And that, what I love is that someone knocked on your door, you answered it, walked through, but you kept on walking, and there were more doors that were opening. So what was
Mm.
the next door that opened? Like what were those?
So what's so crazy, Carolyn, is that the doors were opening and I didn't realize that I was even opening doors for other individuals. I had no idea. I had no idea. So as I started researching, okay, is this corporate speech therapy? I found like one article and I was like, okay, this is what I'm doing is corporate speech
Okay.
therapy.
Mhm.
I'm working with quote unquote typical adults on their communication skills. And as I started talking about it to church members, sorority members, they were all saying, "Oh, I know someone who needs your services. I know this person that, was in Bible study with me. I know this person who is on my team at work and they need some assistance with their communication skills. Here I am." And what was happening is that because no one knew that this service was out there, it sparked, like you could see the light, like the light bulb coming on, like, oh, I did not know this was even available. And some women would say, oh, my child had speech therapy. But what
Mhm.
is a corporate speech pathologist?
Exactly.
And when I explained, like I help adults with their communication skills, it could be that they have difficulty with presentation skills. Adults do not like to speak in front of large crowds.
Mhm.
But we know panel discussions are out there, podcast interviews, individuals that want to start a podcast, but feel like they're being held back because of their communication skills. That's what, and as I explained that, they were like, oh my gosh, I can think of this person on my team at work. Oh my goodness. He needs someone to help him. I didn't even know this was a thing because all most people think of is traditional SLPs working in a school-based setting, a medical setting, a SNF, skilled nursing facility. They weren't thinking, they didn't know where to go for someone to help them. They just didn't know where to go, but here I was. And as the referrals started coming, first they were slow, then they just started growing more and more. And it just, here I am almost 9 years. Next month will be 9 years that I've been in business now. And
So
all still while working in schools. I
what?
I was working in schools doing this. So I
So
was
I
seeing
love
clients on
that.
the side.
Okay, so this is how it started, y'all. Her side gig. So she was still able, she's still working in the schools, getting all the benefits of being a school-based
School-based
SLP,
SLP.
right? But then this was the side gig that she's able to do. And what I love it is very different because I know that when I was working with in elementary, the last thing I wanted was to work with more kids later, like I'll be honest, I did not want to go to a kid-friendly restaurant because I had,
I get
right?
it.
No, thank you. And I
Yeah.
love kids. And then, right? And
Yes.
I just didn't. But then I have worked in I worked in the medical side because I'm a dysphagia specialist. So of course I've done that. And I love working with adults, but then I love peds. But I love this idea of being able to still do what you love, working with the kids, working with really making a difference for those that have disability.
Yes.
But then using your same skill set that you have, but with adult, not only adults, because you can work with adults with a disability and impairment, but this is, like you said, mostly typical neuro, well, maybe not even neurotypical, actually I shouldn't have said that because we're all neurodiverse and all
Yes.
of that. So sorry I said it like that. I don't know what I was just thinking thinking too quickly. But I guess my question is, so it started kind of word of mouth. Oh, I know what my question was. Thank you for everyone listening to my mind go as I was trying to think. What is your plan of care like? Because I know when we're in the schools, we plan for a year, we have a goal, we might benchmark those goals. Okay, I'm seeing a no. Okay,
No plan of cares. No plan of cares.
say more
No.
words about this.
No
What?
plan of cares. You're not diagnosing anyone. So you're not
Okay,
providing quote unquote treatment. You are assisting them with their communication needs. So when you're working with these adults, they will tell you what they need assistance with. So if an adult says, hey, I'm working, preparing for a panel interview,
mhm.
and I am nervous about speaking on a panel, I don't need a plan of care to assist someone to a plan for their plan of working or preparing for a panel discussion or panel interview. I don't need a plan of care for that. So this is where the non-traditional mindset
Okay.
has to turn off. So there isn't a plan of care. Plan of cares are for a traditional setting.
Okay.
Turn that part of your brain off as a speech pathologist.
Yeah, okay,
There's
okay.
no plan of care. No plan of care. So when we're like in a traditional setting, we think of we need to evaluate, diagnose, plan of care, annual goals, short-term objectives, progress
Yeah,
reports,
yeah, yeah.
IEP meaning a yearly IEP meaning 3-year reeval. When
None
you
of that.
work in corporate, you have a start and you have an end date, and you know when those are. And they don't last for a full year. You have a program set up for this individual. My program, when I work with adults, is 10 weeks.
Okay,
10
that was
weeks.
okay.
So you have a
So you
start
do
date and you
have
have an end date.
so you do kind of have a uh
You have a plan, but it's
plan.
not of care.
It's not plan of care, but you have a plan. So if somebody's saying, "Hey, I really need some help," and you say, "I have
10-week program
a 10
outline.
week
A
program."
10-week program. And I put together the plan. I make sure that they're comfortable with the plan, but at no point am I thinking about your objectives, your
Mhm.
annual goal and your short-term objectives. Gone. You're not doing that. So this is an elective service. So that's something most SLPs that's very difficult to wrap your brain around because we know and we think of someone's referring this person to me,
Mhm.
right? They're referring this patient to me. They're referring this child to me. The
Yeah.
referrals look very different. For example, one of my clients referred her friend to me who was preparing to speak at a conference next month. That is a referral for me, just like a business referral, but it's not a referral from a doctor. It's
We, oh,
it's really different. Or a referral from a teacher. It's not like that at all.
I think I might already know the answer to this, but somebody put a question up that if there's no plan of care,
Mhm.
what is the ethical considerations for continuing versus discharging discharging a client?
So there,
Um,
you don't have to consider, I'm sorry, but there's more to it. I'm
no,
sorry,
wait, I was
Carolyn. I
just
didn't
gonna
want
say,
to
is it
interrupt.
just when the client feels like they've met their goals? Was the end of that?
So you think of your 10 weeks, that is the start date, that is the end date. There, you don't have to take into consideration so much of the ASHA ethical part because it's an elective service.
That's the
These are
key.
not services. The key word is an elective. They are choosing to come to you. There's not a referral there. So I am not diagnosing them by
Okay.
saying you have a disorder or you need to be treated to assist you with preparing for a panel discussion. That's not a diagnosis. So I don't have to consider the ethical component as ASHA would consider it.
I think I know where the confusion is happening.
Go
Because
ahead.
it's okay for me too. So this is not like somebody coming and saying to you, hey, I've been in speech therapy, I'm an adult, and I want to work on, well, I don't know. Gosh, I guess I think where we're worried about is like, okay, if I said I want to remediate, okay,
Not
so sorry.
remediating.
I know we're not, except for like accent reduction.
It's a mindset shift. It
I
is
know
total,
I'm
it's
dying over
hard.
here. But it's gonna happen. It's gonna click for me. It's gonna click for me, I hope.
Okay.
So we're not, so I guess the point is when we look at being a speech path, we're really for these clients as a corporate SLP, you're
Hmm.
really working on communication in the respect of um speaking to a large audience or interviewing. So
Hmm.
being a better communicator, you're not remediating something that they have a disability on. It is that they want to be a stronger communicator, whether it's
Yes.
being able to
Present to
anticipate,
their team, to
present.
present to their team, to be on a panel discussion. If it's a minister who needs assistance with vocal hygiene, just simple strategies. I'm not going to go in and look through a scope. I even have like a questionnaire. If you even think there's something like you can feel something, there's a strain there, you need to go to a medical SLP. So as you were
Okay.
talking about it, Carolyn, that's how your mind has to shift.
Yeah, because you're
It
saying if you
truly is a shift. It
if
truly is
you're
a
seeing
shift.
something that you're not here to fix something like right, you really are here to just bolster the communication. We got another
Yes.
question in. Oh, I know, I was going to ask this one too, Kristen. What does a session look like? Are you teaching them strategies, and what are some of the examples of those strategies? Oh yeah, I listen. I'm
So
here for that one.
sure.
Thank you, Kristen.
So so the sessions are an hour long. We
Okay.
work that full hour. So during that time, depending on what we have outlined when we're working together. So let's say it is executive presence in the workplace, right? Executive presence is another way of thinking about charisma. What kind of active listening skills are you doing? Are you listening? What is your tone of voice? So we do tone exercises. What does that look like? What does that sound like? What is the tone that you're trying to achieve when you're speaking with your team? What does active listening look like when you're working with your team also? What happens in the workplace, and I'll put this in here really quick, is there's a breakdown of communication in the workplace. I don't know about everyone, but I know for me, when I was working in certain schools, you have administrators that really have a difficult time with active listening, like taking the time to listen to their teachers and everyone on their staff. Those are active listening skills. What does that look like in the workplace if you are in a leadership role? We're going through the different strategies and different techniques to assist you with that. So one thing that I know is to be the most important when I'm working with quote unquote typical adults is as they're speaking, they kind of get lost, things are lost in translation. So a session may be just on breathing strategies. There's 4 or 5 different breathing strategies that I go over with the client to ensure that they're breathing correctly when they're speaking in front of others. So you're going through different strategies based on the topic for the day. So you have a topic. So each day, each time that I work with this client, we have a different topic that we're working on. That topic, we go through the different strategies to assist them with their communication skills, either in the workplace or even their everyday life outside of the workplace. We're so focused in a traditional setting, thinking about the diagnosing component and the strategies we provide when we're diagnosing. We're forgetting about the adult that is struggling in the workplace because they're terrified of being in and sitting in on an interview because they have a difficult time with answering questions. The same strategies that you will provide if you're working in a traditional setting on WH questions, you change those strategies just a teeny bit to work with an adult that needs assistance with staying on topic for answering a question.
Okay, that's a light bulb there. That exactly like did they actually ask rather than you just go start talking? Like what we would do with it with a client in the schools of like asking the question, it was that a what question? Okay, I'm getting it. I'm getting it. Julie, thanks for the quick question. Do you still take documentation during sessions for the client or for you just to monitor growth or
So I'll take notes when I'm working with a client, but also I provide workbooks. I put together individual workbooks for my clients so they have a notes page. Adults are capable to quote unquote typical adults are capable of taking notes and listening to the information, the strategies that you're providing to take their own notes. So I'm not documenting anything in a database or a program or anything. Remember, these are elective services. They're coming to you for assistance, not to be diagnosed. They're coming to you for assistance. So my notes may look very shorthand, really quick and easy, because guess what? I don't have to do a midterm report. I don't have to do long documentation. I'm not submitting anything to insurance. So my quote unquote documentation are really just notes of what we discussed and what was gone over or reviewed during our session. They're not full on like soap notes. They're not going to look like that at all.
because you're not getting reimbursed. There's
Not
nothing
getting,
like that.
yes.
It's
It's
a pay
clicking
per.
now, Carolyn.
It is. I'm starting to get it. And so it's a pay per session. So
Hmm.
it's just and it's straight up. Yeah. It's just yeah. Okay. So now I'm getting it. So really, it's you are you have a contract with the client
Hmm.
that they are contracting with you that you're going to provide this 10-week program
Yes.
and that's it. It's not right. And they have this is their goal. They come to you and say, this is my goal. And then you say, okay. And then what you just like we would do an interview on what are your concerns, right?
Yes. You're getting
So
it.
like okay, I am so happy with myself right now.
Yes.
I am okay. I'm just gonna do a side note because I've been wanting to know like if okay, tell me with an athlete, what do they need? What do you mean an athlete?
Oh my gosh. So
What?
athletes that are being interviewed on
Oh,
TV, preparing
okay.
them for interviews for that, preparing them for speaking engagements, preparing
Okay.
them to possibly do broadcasting. We are trained to do that. And that's how you
You're
work with
right.
athletes. So I've worked with some high school athletes where parents are already know my
Oh,
son or daughter is a
yes.
stellar athlete. So they're seeing the long game. They understand that they may go on to play
Become
college
a
for
broadcaster. I'm so
broadcasting.
sorry for
Yes.
speaking over you. As soon as it came into my head, I'm like, oh,
Yeah, so they're
yes.
prepared. These parents are already thinking, okay, I've done the camps. I have the personal trainer. Now my child needs to be ready when the microphone is right in their face right away.
Yeah.
They want their child to be ready for all that's there and what's available to them. As one mom told me, I want my child to be the best athlete, but I also want endorsement money. I want Gatorade money. I want
Yep.
Nike
Yep.
money.
Yep.
I
Yep.
want,
Yep.
and that's smart because think about who the athletes that are getting the endorsement deals. What do they sound like?
Mm-hmm.
As a corporate speech pathologist, That's what a corporate speech pathologist would do. And if you were thinking traditional, you would think, I need to test them, I need to
Yeah.
do this, but
No, no,
no. And
none of
athletes
that.
that leave the league or leave their profession, what else do they need to do or want to do? Most of them want to think about speaking engagements. People love to hear athletes that can, perform at speaking engagements, that can be
Sure.
interviewed. Think about the companies that are providing the endorsements. They need someone who is not only comfortable with playing the sport or holding the ball or whatever, but being able to look into a camera, communicate with the camera, have the charisma, you know? Those are
Yeah,
things as speech pathologists that we do. So athletes are thinking long game. They really need to think long because in a split second you can get hurt and
yeah,
you may not be able to go
right.
back out there.
And also an athlete's career is not that long playing because
Exactly.
it's hard on the
Yes.
body. So let's get you ready for what's to come. And
Let's
the
get you
next,
ready for that.
yeah, and what I was thinking about, it's really not different than like if we're working with a student that that is getting ready to do an oral report in school. What would you do with that student that,
Same.
and take that skill that we have, that we know to help with that student, um, and use it with adults? We've got a couple other coming in. Are
Okay.
there resources that helped you get into corporate SLP-dom? Um, really to understand that, I guess more of that executive workplace communication.
So to be honest, I read a lot of business books. I
Okay,
had to, once I started getting more clients. So I'm located in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm on the East Coast. Charlotte is the second largest banking city, right behind New York City. So we have all the big major banks. We have Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Truist Bank. So many of my corporate clients were working at these banks. So I always at one point was asking them, what is the workplace like? Like, what do you feel comfortable with? What do you feel like you need to know? And as they were telling me skills, you would think they would already know that. But it's one thing to know numbers and to know programs and all of that. It's another to be able to communicate the numbers, what they mean, how you get to those numbers, how they affect their gosh, I just had a lapse of memory. How does that affect their clients, individuals that have money with them? How do you communicate that? So I had to learn a lot about business to understand how to really assist them. Also, I had to seek out training. This
oh,
is where
that,
training comes in
thank
different.
you. We just had a question about what training or education did you do? Okay,
So,
Samantha,
okay, this is not
listen
a
up.
requirement, but this was what I did.
Okay.
I decided to seek out programs or certifications not related to speech pathology, related to just business. Because in our field, sadly, we don't learn about business. Even if you're a business owner, you have an
Right.
agency, you don't learn about business. You just kind of pick it up or you have a mentor, business mentor who assists you. But there was no one in speech pathology that was doing corporate. So I needed to learn business in a totally different way.
Mhm.
I took the opportunity to make sure I had a mentor who was not a speech pathologist. That was the best thing for me. So my mentor who works in corporate America was giving me information like these are the topics that you possibly want to consider. What do they look like as a speech pathologist? How do you assist someone in that way? So I decided, okay, I need something in business because I just don't know enough verbiage. I don't know the lingo of business, you know? So I decided to seek out additional certification. Like I said, everyone, this is not in speech pathology. I have certification from Harvard University in business sustainability. I also have a business certification from Cornell University in women's entrepreneurship. I needed to know more about business and how business works. Not so much for my business, but to interact with individuals that are Fortune 500 CEOs. I need to know how to communicate. I need to know how to communicate with them. I need to know that. So, in working with a CFO with a company here in Charlotte, he kept talking about sustainability. Sustainability, that was a huge topic before COVID, maybe in 2018, 2019. I had no idea what sustainability was. I know what it meant for me when I think about sustaining something, but not so much sustainability and how he referred to it. So I needed to know more about that because more clients were talking about it. I was like, I don't know what this means. But I don't want to ask what
Mhm.
this means. So I needed to learn more about just business and business lingo. So that way, if I'm playing tennis with someone, if I'm playing golf with someone, and then they're talking business, I can kind of keep up. There's no one that was doing corporate speech therapy that was able to tell me these are some things you might need to know. You know, like these are things you need to think about if you're going to be working with this caliber of clients. So I just took the initiative to learn more about business. It is not a requirement if you're going to be a speech pathologist. And you don't have, I mean, if you're doing corporate speech therapy, you don't have to work with CEOs, CFOs, CMOs. You don't have, and CEOs, of course, I'm sure everyone knows that term. But CFOs is the chief financial officer. That's someone that's thinking about the money component. The CMO is the chief marketing officer. And the chief marketing officer, when you're working with those type of individuals, they're thinking about their communication skills and how they influence individuals. Marketing is how individuals are influenced. Social media influencers, they do a lot of marketing for companies. So if you're marketing, your tone needs to match what you're marketing and who you're trying to pinpoint that you want to sell to. So you have to understand how that side of business works too. Is that a requirement as a corporate speech pathologist? No. But the caliber of clients that I work with, that is important for me to know that information.
So what I'm saying, what I'm hearing and with is that when you decided you wanted to go up to corporate, but so corporate SLP doesn't mean you have to stay corporate. It's
You
just
don't have
another,
to stay
you
corporate.
don't, you could do the athletes or the ministers, the just people that are interviewing
Hmm.
as well. But if you were really wanting to go into corporate, you need to have a corporate head, uh,
Yes, you
just an
need to,
understanding.
yes.
So maybe taking, like you said, maybe not a whole certification, but taking a intro to
Taking some
business
kind of business course,
or a
something like a
some
simple
business
class,
course.
something
Right.
very simple, just to learn some verbiage about what terms and terminology they're using in that sector. And you're right, Carolyn. One thing I definitely need to go back and take a couple of steps back. A corporate speech pathologist is just working with typical adults that need assistance with their communication skills on a higher level. Okay.
Yeah.
That's one thing. I work with adults that want to work one-on-one, that want to enhance their communication skills. I also work with companies, brands, and organizations and help facilitate great communication skills in the workplace. So you
Okay.
have options for one-on-ones and you have options to do companies and brands too.
God, wow. I mean, this is just opening so much.
And you
Another
can do this
question
on the side, everyone.
on the
You don't have to
side,
leave
your
the school.
side,
You can do
side
this on
thing.
the side.
I know
You can do
because
this on the side.
having having the school pension is awfully nice. I love it. I also like the flexibility of knowing that I have the school schedule, but I can do this for extra in the summer. But I had another question. Do you also with when we're looking at communication, do you also work with writing with a is that something that maybe not, but
No, I don't
no?
work with writing. I don't. I think of more when I think of writing, I think about the more of the traditional component. And corporate, you're thinking about more of the verbal component.
Hmm. Hmm. Right. So as a for you, the corporate SLP is you're enhancing oral communication or
Mhm.
but nonverbal too, though. So
Yes, yes,
okay, so
body
nonverbal
language.
body language, maybe also thinking about, I'm also thinking about pragmatics, being able
Yes,
to
social
read your
skills.
audience. Because
Absolutely.
when you're saying about somebody being an active listener, when we're teaching that to students, what does it mean to be an active listener?
Hmm.
We're really talking about some pragmatics and body
Yes.
language. What do you look like when somebody else is talking versus, waiting your turn? Do you just,
Yes. What does that look like? And you know
right?
what?
Or
Yes.
versus like, yeah.
Yes, and a hot topic now for my one-on-ones and even companies is neurodiversity,
Hmm.
neurodiversity training in the workplace, and how to
Okay.
support the employees that are, you know, that know they have some difficulties in the workplace, but they're not really sure who they can go to provide that training. If you're working in a traditional setting, you work with many different types of children. if you're working in a traditional school setting. So think about those children that you have on your caseload that are having some difficulty in the school setting with their communication skills. These are children that are going to grow up to be adults. And the adults right now are in the workplace, and some of them are truly struggling in the workplace, but they're not sure where to go because they know, hey, I'm not a child anymore. So I already did speech therapy, but I'm still struggling. What they don't know about accommodations they can even ask for in the workplace. So think about the students on your caseload now that are having some difficulty. Possibly they've been diagnosed with autism on that spectrum. And I hate to say on the spectrum, I just, I hate to say that. But they're having, as adults, they have, some of them will have difficulty in the workplace, but they're not sure who to go to because they don't know that there are corporate speech pathologists out here to assist them. They're thinking traditional as well, like, oh, I had a speech therapist in school. There's nobody that can help me like this person helped me when I was in the school setting. But as a school-based SLP, you have all the skills to assist that adult in the workplace and companies to assist their employees also in the workplace as well.
Yes. Wow. But you're still, I want to make sure that everybody knows, but even if maybe they are neurodiverse
Yep.
or verbal
Yes,
diverse.
yes,
We're not going in and saying we're going to be setting up a stuttering program or we're doing something,
nope,
right?
nope,
No, you're saying we are here for this project.
yes,
You have this coming up. We're going to work towards that. Or in the
yes.
workplace, you find that you're having trouble and you're not moving up.
Or
Um,
excelling the way that you feel like you should.
should, and let's take a look at how we're communicating and see where we can enhance what
Yes,
you've got. You're
en-
enhancing them, giving them the
enhance is the
strategy.
key word.
Okay, okay. All right. Um, so we've talked a lot about like the corporate. I could see being able to, I mean, I don't know. I mean, right, whole court for a whole boardroom, understanding how to do that. That's a big
Hmm.
endeavor for those that aren't accustomed to that. I see that with people that are wanting to interview.
Interviewing
How,
skills. Hmm.
yeah. And are there other marketing avenues that you've taken? I hear word of mouth is how you kind of got started, but are there any other marketing avenues that you took that were really helpful for you?
Yes, so when I first started, I was going to a lot of networking events. Networking
Okay.
events are game changers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, absolute game changers. I like social media. It's not, I get clients from social media, but nothing beats old school networking. I'm going to be
Mm-hmm.
honest.
Right.
Nothing beats old school networking. That is still like my bread and butter. I mean, I will still go to a networking event to meet individuals, to discuss what I do, and also just to make connections with different companies and brands also. But good old school networking, you can't get like to me, I just don't even know how my company would be where it is if I didn't go to networking events. And they're easy just to go and spark a conversation with someone. What I also learned, believe it or not, when I working in schools, parents, as the parent I told you about before,
Mm-hmm.
they will also say, "Do you know anyone that can work with me?" So use what you already have.
Yeah,
Think
yeah.
about what you already have. But networking events have been just absolutely amazing. I just I I can go on and on about networking events. And I think that's something of almost like a lost art where a lot
Mhm.
of individuals don't. And I think COVID also started that where most individuals said, I really don't want to go out and be around a lot of people. But you have to
Sure.
find the right networking events that you feel are going to garner or allow you to meet individuals that would possibly need your assistance. So I still love to go to pitch opportunities, not so much that I'm pitching my business, but to listen to individuals that are pitching their business. If they're nervous, if they're flustered, if they're overwhelmed just from being up there in that short amount of time, I know they need my assistance.
Oh, wow.
I know it. because you in a pitch competition or a pitch opportunity, you have a short amount of time to discuss whatever it is that you're pitching, right?
Mhm.
And there's usually money on the line or opportunity on the line. If you're so overwhelmed and flustered, a lot of things are going to be lost in translation. So you might miss out on that opportunity. But if I see that, I can easily go to that person and say, hey, I'm Adrienne Singletary. I'm a corporate speech pathologist. I see that you had some difficulty with answering questions from the judges. I see that you ran out of time. I could see that you were sweating. I can even tell from your breathing that you were nervous. I can assist you with that. I would love to assist you with that. If you're open to a conversation, here's my card. We can set up I mean, now you can do anything on your phone. I can set up a consultation, schedule a consultation with a potential client right away. But pitch competitions are great. If you're watching TED Talks, looking in the audience for individuals that are saying, gosh, I wish I could do that. I would love to be on stage to talk about whatever my ideas or whatever my thoughts are. People are terrified of speaking on stage. But as speech pathologists, we know how important breathing strategies are. We know how important pacing is. We know how important it is to answer questions, to stay on topic. Eye contact. Even if you're not looking at one person, how do you provide eye contact or give the illusion that you're giving eye contact? So there are so many different ways to market your services and to get clients, but nothing, for me, number one is always networking, going to networking events.
Yeah, I hear you because I know I've been just recently lucky. A friend of mine is really involved with women in business. We live in the same community, and I went to one of the women in business, and everyone's talking about what they do. And it would have been a great opportunity for me to. I didn't even know this existed. So, whoa, missed opportunity. But now it's in my
Now
head.
you know.
Now I know. Are there other services in demand? So I could see right now that we haven't talked about that's part of kind of what you do.
Yeah.
Give us another
Give you
little,
another one.
yeah.
One that everyone thinks of for corporate speech therapy is accent modification. It is a service I provide.
Okay.
I personally don't see accent modification falling under corporate speech therapy only because anyone can be trained to do accent modification. In fact, when I did the training course back in 2013 and 2015, the majority of the participants were ELL teachers, English language learner teachers that we're going to be doing the grammar, vocabulary, and then tying in the accent modification. So I personally don't consider that to be part of corporate speech therapy, but I know most people think of that's the first service they think of. But that is definitely in demand.
Okay.
Definitely in demand. And you charge more for accent modification services too. So something to think about.
Is
Media
there a
training.
I'm sorry, is there a certification you need for accent modification though?
Yes and no.
Okay. Okay.
You don't have to be true. I say yes because accent modification is more looking at speech patterns because it's not articulation therapy or
Right.
enunciation therapy. So
Mhm.
I feel like it's great to have a more of a true understanding of accents and speech patterns. That's very important because you may have clients that speak multiple languages, not just two languages, but multiple
Mhm.
languages. So the patterns kind of overlap. So you need to know specifically about the patterns and how the patterns sound compared to their first language, second language, or third or fourth language. So I think it's great if you have some kind of certification that trains you how to assist someone with those patterns.
Yeah, my cousin's
Um,
a speech path and she did accent modification and it was she did go through a certification for that.
yeah,
So, but okay, you were about to tell us something else. Social
sure.
media
So
or media?
executive presence programs, accent modification, media training, public speaking. I've done this before, public speaking boot camps. You can do those, communication workshops, leadership communication workshops. Even thinking about, like I said, your athletes, thinking about working with your student athletes, professional athletes,
Okay.
college athletes. These are just some of, and neurodiversity training. I know I touched on that also, neurodiversity training. Oh my gosh, there's a crisis communication.
Tell me more about that.
So think about your individuals that are business owners and a crisis has happened within the workplace, possibly. That owner or that CEO is now front and center in front of everybody. We're in this age of social media. So if something goes wrong with your brand or your company, it's going to be put out there, right? So you need to be prepared to answer questions in the moment of a crisis. This is not the time to be wondering and guessing how to provide information. You need to be able to provide it the first time the right way.
Mm,
So are you active listening when people are asking you questions? Are you giving clarification? Are you being upfront and honest? Is your tone coming across appropriately? Even your body language, your social skills as you're interacting with your employees that are concerned about what's going on, possibly with their future, that is crisis communication training. That is a great training for business owners, CEOs. Think about even your mom and pop shops
hmm
that are thinking of like, oh my gosh, there's something people are saying that this happened in the restaurant or this happened here. How do I talk to my employees or my staff about that? You need to be trained for that. That is crisis communication, making sure that you can smooth things over and that you are seen as still being a leader. That is very important. Because if you can't answer those questions or don't come across a certain way, you can lose business just like that, like literally in the blink of an eye.
I, I'm hearing you and I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to use the zones of regulation when it, like I'm thinking, like I honestly, like all these things that we really do have these skills.
We have the skills.
Like, right, Christ. So think about the zones of regulation. Where are you? Not only where are you, where is the person and what would you do with your student that is in the yellow zone, in the red zone? What would you do
Hmm.
to de-escalate
Yes.
the situation using those
Yes.
skills, using those strategies? What would we tell that student to do? Like
Yes.
you say, the breathing exercises, the mental imagery that we might use for just being able, that can work for de-escalating, but also a crisis, but also used in being calm and being ready to present. And when you're nervous, what are some the same sort of strategies you can use for that? Um, so it's like I'm every time you talk about something, I'm like, yeah, we do that in the schools with our students, maybe for something else, but this can be used for this. It makes
Hmm.
sense.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, yeah. I'm not quite sure the question that came in the Q&A.
Hmm.
The last one that came in, could you either rewrite it for me? Because I'm not quite sure what you're asking. Something about what has improved with your personal service delivery from your first interaction with the mother? Do you consider yourself a more effective communicator? I'm not quite sure what the gist is that they're asking you. So if you don't mind rewriting that one for me, and I'll watch for it.
Okay.
We'll get to that. Oops, where did I go? Okay, here I am. All right. So I'm just hearing, okay, so it's things I wrote down because I'm like, oh, I'd want to like talk to HR departments, and that would be a marketing for me. I was just writing down things like, oh, if I'm
HR departments,
at your
high school guidance counselors,
mm-hmm,
preparing students for scholarship interviews. Hello, if you work in high schools.
right,
If you're working in
right.
high school, student, think about the seniors or even juniors that are, going through scholarship applications and preparing for scholarship interviews.
The only thing with that is I'm wondering, is there any conflicts of interest?
So you would want to go to, if you're thinking about conflicts of interest, you want to
Yeah.
go to a district that is
Oh,
a
okay.
school counselor, not in your school
Okay.
district.
Thank you. Because I was like,
Mhm.
oh, that might be just a little bit
Oh,
questionable.
I
Yeah.
absolutely understand that. Yes. But
Yeah.
think about your high school guidance counselors, think about coaches, think about your AU coaches that know students that possibly need your services. It's amazing who you already know that knows someone that needs your services.
Another thing about networking is go to your high school coach who knows all the coaches at all
All the coaches.
the other districts to be like, hey, this is a service I use. I really can't do it in this district, but would you refer me when
Would
you're
you
talking?
refer me or do an introduction? Can you
Or
do an
yeah, an
introduction?
introduction. That's what I meant. Could you
Could you
introduce
do an
me? Yeah.
introduction?
And that, because when I love that. Oh, so cool. Um, and so yeah, that helped me with the thought of it being like a conflict of interest with our district, but using our who we know in our district to get us to other districts. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Um, is there I'm wondering, we've talked about what else who else do you work with? Did we?
Woo, gosh, okay. So business owners, bankers, engineers, doctors that have difficulty with bedside manner,
Oh, okay.
communication skills for bedside manner, that was probably my hot topic maybe 2 or 3 years ago. Um, Doctors that are within like a hospital group,
Mm-hmm.
feedback from their patients were like some doctors I was working with, they were getting feedback from their patients or former patients that they didn't feel comfortable asking questions to their doctor. They didn't
Right.
feel the doctor
Sure.
had great bedside manner. So think about your physicians, think about even your hospital groups, and think about, I'm trying to think of the right way to phrase this. But doctors have to keep their jobs too. Like we know how
Sure.
important they are, but they have to keep their jobs too.
So what I'm thinking is like you could go and do a quick little presentation, like a lunch presentation
Done
to a
it. Yep.
hospital group
To a
that,
hospital group or even a private practice.
or a or whatever, and you do it about, and you're not singling anyone out, but you're talking and HR and everybody's there, and you're talking about, bedside manner and customer
Answering questions
service.
and making sure that you're active listening to your patient. Like you have active listening skills as your patient is asking questions. If
So
their
you give them a
family is
little.
asking questions,
Mhm.
you want to make sure that you have the skills to answer the questions, listen to the questions. If you see that there's confusion on your patient's face, how are you going about listening to them so that way they feel assured by the type of services or the medical attention you're providing? Those are things you have to, a doctor should always take into consideration. It's one thing to know the information, it's another for your patient to feel comfortable with you. So when you're working with physicians or doctors, the big topic is always usually going to be, in my experience, has been bedside manner.
I
Nurse
love it.
as well.
All right, so those of you out there that are thinking, wow, what? This is the next thing that came into my mind. How many of us at the beginning of every year do a presentation about what an SLP in this, what a school-based SLP does in the schools? How many of us do it? Yeah,
I used to,
we do.
yes,
I know,
yes,
we all
it's
do,
important.
right? So it's the same format, but now you're doing, what can I do for your corporation or your group of people or whatever.
Mhm.
It's like, what can I do for you? And like you listed, executive presence, listening skills. What else did you
Presentation skills, leadership skills, neurodiversity training, being able to, I'm going to tell you something that totally surprised me in working with a group of principals and being able, like I said before, like being able to really listen to your staff, but understanding that if your staff is giving you feedback, how do you take that feedback?
okay.
How do you
Yeah.
take the feedback? How do you discuss the feedback? It's one thing to be the principal and to do the summative reports and note all the things the teachers need to do, but when they give you feedback, how do you respond to that feedback? How do you articulate your concerns, or are you always defensive? What does that look like? And oh, this was my mind. If you know anyone that's working on their dissertation,
Hmm.
they need to be prepared for all the questions that are going to come to them as they're preparing for their defense. I've worked with so many doctoral students as they're getting to that last little bit and they're preparing for their dissertation defense. That's something. I just want to put that out there because I would forget
Yeah.
otherwise.
And I was, another thing that popped in my head. So, like, let's say in your own district, you offer, if you're really wanting to get into this, you offer a presentation at one of the principal, like in your district, your principals, you'd have to do it for free, because you're right,
Employee.
an employee, but you do it for the principals, and then um, they will talk. Because listen, that's how word of mouth for me. I did a presentation. Next, New York called me. Next, they're flying me out to New York to set up their dysphagia program. So this really does work, y'all. And
Yes, it
I
does.
wasn't, I wasn't even looking to do consult, and now I go all over the place. Okay, all right. Thank you so much for rewording. Here we go. From the first interaction that you had with the initial mother, how has your delivery in working with clients improved? Okay.
Ooh,
Oh, that's a good question. And then there's more to this. Do you
okay.
have a clear interview in what you asked percent? Oh, okay. So you were going like it was brand new, but then, so do you have now a program that you follow that when you're interviewing clients that you follow like a certain list of questions? Um, if we were not trained in our programs on public speaking, from your work, have you now improved? Oh, okay. Are you an even better public speaker? Oh,
Yes.
me too, because then you
Yes.
have to say yes.
Yes.
I think doing this, I am as well. Sorry, look at me. No, now I'm not. Now I'm
That's
not.
okay. Yes, I'm a much better public speaker. I love to do speaking engagements. I speak at conferences. If there's an opportunity to talk about corporate speech therapy, I will always take it. I want all SLPs to at least know about this area within our field. It's not talked about enough. So yes, I do a lot of public speaking engagements. Whenever the opportunity presents itself, I will go. And I'm glad, Carolyn, you talked about going to different places in corporate. You will easily do that as well. I'll be doing a training for a company in Ohio for a couple of days for their interns on communication skills in the workplace. So there are opportunities to go different places. And one-on-one clients will fly you to them too. I've done an opportunity to do that for the first time maybe about 7 years ago to Orlando. A one-on-one client said, I really need some assistance and I need it within a month. Like I we can do virtual. I was doing
Right.
Zoom way before COVID. Zoom has grown and changed
Oh,
drastically.
it has. It has.
Yes, yes. And she flew me to Orlando to where she was, and we did like a full weekend
You just
and
right,
did
rather than
everything.
doing an
Yes.
hour, yeah, a
Yeah, we did
compact.
everything compact in a weekend. So yes, there are opportunities are there for that as well. But yes, to answer that question, I love to do public speaking.
I love this, and I am just looking at the time, and I cannot believe that we have come to the end
Oh
because
my
I have
gosh,
so much
it's been an
more.
hour.
I know,
I didn't
and
even
I need
realize
this
it.
because I want to keep going. And Adrienne, I cannot thank you enough for coming today. And I just have more questions for you, so I hope you're going to be open to maybe coming back another time for
Absolutely.
okay, and sharing
Absolutely.
more. You've been so open, and you've given us such great ideas to expand the skills we already have, but expand them into something more and more versatile than we ever thought about.
Yeah.
You know, for us thinking about developing a side business, right? Being a
Yeah.
consultant, simply um, uh, uh, even maybe even our own confidence, right? For some of us that
Yes.
might not be comfortable, maybe we'll work on ourselves, right?
This is a great side gig, everyone. I
Yeah,
finished at the end of the day at like 3:15. I would see my first client like at 3:30 or 4 o'clock when they were leaving work. So
sure.
it is a great opportunity to work with your adult clients after work. You can't beat it. You really
Right.
can't. You can
And
still
it's
work in the school system and get your benefits and your
mhm.
pay, and the pay in corporate is really good too.
Right, and you're doing something different, but using the same skills
Same.
you have. So you're not relearning anything. You're using your same
No.
skills, but it's a totally different way. So it's going to be fresh and new and fun. I love this so much.
Yes.
All right, listeners, live listeners, thank you so much for being with us today. And don't forget, I want you to make sure that you get your CEU. So you've got to jump back on your speech therapy PD account before the end of today, right? To get those CEUs. And so thank you everyone for making this such a great episode of School of Speech. Until next time, I want everyone to keep learning boldly, collaborate intentionally, and lead with purpose. I'll see everybody on the next episode of School of Speech. Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Carolyn.